folks, where we are going to watch Harlan Fear, Danny Jessup, and Zach Allen. That's Demir Werza, Sultai Delirium, and Azorius Control up against Amulet Titan, Bant Spirits, and Azorius Control. So an Azorius Control mirror in Standard, Sultai Delirium against Bant Spirits in Pioneer, and then Demir Werza versus Amulet Titan, a very popular matchup last weekend here in Modern. So,
and for those of you who think perhaps my affect is all an act, I've just received a text from my wife saying, I asked what she thought about your shout-out, and she said, that was pretty nice, ... and then shouted, for you, meaning me.
oh.
It was nice for me, by my standards.
Well, I guess that's nice,
Yeah,
I suppose.
nice enough.
All right.
Danny Jessup just playing the stock best deck yet again. He's been doing this now for almost a decade. Just whatever won the last tournament, playing that deck reasonably well and winning a lot.
That's all he does. That's all he's going to continue to do. Is here is Mausoleum Wanderer number 2. Going to go the first one, get in for a couple points of damage, and we'll head back over to Jessup. Certainly playing one of the better decks in the format. Is it the best deck? I don't know, but it's pretty darn close, and he does have a history of playing mid-rangey strategies like Sultai Delirium rather well. That is an Overgrown Tomb. This looks to be a Walking Ballista, which is going to kill one of those Mausoleum Wanderers. So we're going to head back over to our Bant Spirits player here in Benjamin Feingersh.
Yeah, I think Danny just wanted to make a quick check there to make sure there wasn't some sort of onboard element to that made the Ballista not work, but easy trade with the Mausoleum Wanderer.
This is the Eagle. To the skies we are going to go, so that Mausoleum Wanderer is going to get a little bit larger, and we're going to head back over to Danny Jessup.
Important for Jessup to have a strong turn here because Feingersh already ahead on the battlefield, threatening quite a bit of damage. Not the easiest for Jessup to interact with in the first place because most of his blocking is on the ground. But if Feingersh gets to untap and hold up Spell Queller, that's going to be hard for Jessup not to get tempoed out of this game.
And that is kind of the scary thing right now if you are Jessup, is the potential to get tempoed right out of this game. So he's got to figure out a way to maybe interact with this Empyrean Eagle or the Mausoleum Wanderer. But spells are basically off the table now at this stage of things, so he's going to go towards a creature instead in Satyr Wayfinder. So take a look at the top handful of cards. Botanical Sanctum is headed to the grip. Emrakul, Fatal Push among the cards that are going to the graveyard. Suppose we can't forget about the Uro as well. That is now in the graveyard, close to being able to escape that creature. This is that Botanical Sanctum. And the follow-up is a Traverse the Uvenwald.
Sorcery, artifact, instant creature.
Yeah. So will Mausoleum Wanderer have some interest in countering this Traverse? And Feingersh says no, that's totally fine, so. There's an Ishkana.
Been a while.
Widow. It has been a hot minute since we have seen this card. And it is a rather good one here in Ishkana. So we'll get that up for those of you who might be unaware exactly what that giant spider does do. In the meantime, we head back to our Bant Spirits player. Here is the Supreme Phantom. And now here comes some beatdowns as these flyers just get larger and larger. And oddly enough, this is some pretty straightforward stuff here from our Bant Spirits player.
Well, this is
just giving some beatdowns in the air.
Yep, and I think Feingersh kind of reading the situation well here, saying there's no guarantee that Jessup cooperates and plays something that I can Spell Queller. And with Ishkana looming 2 turns from now, the best thing that I could do is just get lethal onto the battlefield this turn.
Mm-hmm. So foregoing the Spell Queller plan of leaving that up as a source of permission and instead saying let's go beatdowns before you can deploy Ishkana with Delirium.
And Jessup's plays have been so soft now for multiple turns that it would be hard to imagine he has removal in hand unless he just drew it this turn.
Mm-hmm.
So if his plays are just some fumbling of material and some blockers on the ground this turn, as it has been for the previous turns, this line of play should be enough for Feingersh to get the check mark next turn.
Currently 8 points of power in the air for Feingersh as well, which is worth noting. So it's not hard to cross the finish line as Jessup is going to sacrifice a Fabled Passage. This is a just a normal island, pardon me. I suppose it does have some snow on it, but it is just a normal island from Ice Age. Easy to confuse the two.
It's not snow covered. It's just snowy.
It just has snow on it, yes.
You're dead.
Yeah, I think that's potentially D on the B. And the reason I say potentially is because you're going to gain 3 life, you get to draw a card, and maybe there's the ability to play a black land and a fatal push, but it doesn't look like it now. And by my math, I'm counting a lethal attack here. But, I like Jessup making Feingersh figure it out. Only takes a couple more seconds. Feingersh does see the lethal attack, and that's going to do it. So, Bant Spirit's up a game here over Sultai Delirium very quickly in our Pioneer matchup. Bant Spirits is a deck that is picking up in popularity right now, doing fairly well across the Players' Tours regionals that are taking place with a good friend of ours from the Maryland area, Tommy Ashton.
Yeah.
In the top 8.
Standerson, yo.
In the top 8 of Players' Tour Phoenix right now with Bant Spirits. He came around to this deck, as many have been doing it recently, and Feingersh is also having a very nice weekend with the deck. For now, though, we will turn to Jessup and his sideboard, where we have 3 Leyline of the Void, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Dampening Sphere, and a lot of one-ofs here, an Abrupt Decay, Assassin's Trophy, Reclamation Sage, Unmoored Ego, Disdainful Stroke, Vivian Reed, Ultimate Price, and a Witch's Vengeance, a card we don't see a ton of.
I mean, Assassin's Trophy, Abrupt Decay, I think there's probably enough targets for Mystical Dispute that it's worth bringing in as well. Ultimate Price is probably fine.
I think I'm a pretty big fan of Witch's Vengeance here as well. Creatures of the creature type of your choice get -3/-3 until end of turn. I think there's a lot to like about that card in this matchup.
For sure. I mean, there is some issue of with it getting outpaced by some of the lords and being kind of a big chunky thing for Spellcaller to tag. But, yeah, I mean, the ceiling on that card is extremely high.
Taking a look at Feingersh's sideboard, 4 Mystical Dispute, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Deputy Detention, 2 Devout Decree, 2 Disdainful Strokes, along with an Avacyn, a Declaration of Stone, and a Settle the Wreckage.
I like the Disdainful Stroke in this matchup. There's probably enough threatening expensive cards, Ishkana, maybe even things like Vivian Reed in the sideboard as well. I like Deputy of Detention in this matchup. If Jessup's playing anything to interact, it's probably blocking on the battlefield. I don't know. You could keep it. You could really keep this fairly tight. I mean, Declaration of Stone's reasonable as well, but it's, if Jessup's creatures are all on the ground, there's some value in being able to interact with them, but it's not like there's a lot of pressure to be able to do it. But I like a little bit of answers to the battlefield. I think the Archangel Avacyn's probably solid in this matchup too.
Well, those are your options there for both players. Game number 2 will be underway here in just a moment. We'll see if we've got any updates on our other matches as well here in just a sec. But while we work on that, we do want to let you know the Season 1 schedule here for the SCG Tour. Columbus, we crowned champions. Harlan Fear was your champion there, alongside a couple of fantastic teammates. In Knoxville, we had Erin Barrich. She got the job done, won her 3rd SCG Open, alongside, of course, that invitational win that she had a couple of years ago. So she is becoming more and more accomplished here on the tour. And you can add to her resume a top 4 at SCG Richmond last weekend. Still in top 4 contention is Barrich this weekend here in Philadelphia, along with the 2 teams we're watching under the lights right now. And then a couple weeks from now, we're going to Indianapolis, buddy.
Yeah, that'll be an individual Pioneer Open. After that, regional championships. You can head over to go.sarcygames.com/regionals for more information. This previous Friday, we released all the information, including sites. That format will be modern, and again, March 7th. After that, Baltimore for a Pioneer Open, and then a Modern Open in Syracuse. That'll take us to April, where we have Atlanta, Worcester.
We'll go to page 2 here.
Trying to think where we go after that. Cincinnati, Louisville, Philadelphia. And after all that, that'll take us to SCGCon Summer, featuring the Star City Games Invitational. That's June 11th through the 14th, the Berglund Center in Roanoke, Virginia.
Well, game number 2 about to be underway between these players. Game 1 between Harlan Fear and Rodney Bedell still taking place. That's Demir Werza versus Amulet Titan. And then for Zach Allen and Alexander Chen and Azorius Control Mirror, well, we're probably going to be there for a while. So we'll see what happens there. And if we have time to jump that way, which I think we will, of course, do so. For now, we continue to put our attention towards Pioneer. Very popular format. Players Tour events are being played there. And Danny Jessup playing Saltide Delirium here this weekend. 27-year-old from the New York area with 9 opens played last year. Pretty modest for him. Normally used to seeing him play a lot more of them, but he always likes to see how things are going at the beginning of a season, and if he's off to a good start, you'll see him at basically every event. And, he won an open alongside Harlan Fear and Zach Allen the first weekend of the year. So, yeah, he's back.
Right. We talked a little bit this morning at the Dunkin' Donuts Northeast Institution, and I asked him how he was going to go at it, and he said, it was sort of dipping the toes in the water, wanted to see how the first couple of opens went before deciding. Well, those opens went pretty well, and now I think he's going to be making a push to return to the Players' Championship.
4 invitational top 8s on the resume, nothing to sneeze at. Doesn't have a win just yet, unfortunately for him, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him add that to his ever-growing resume with those 18 top 8s. 2 open wins, one earlier this year, and perhaps he has another open win and top 8/4 this weekend in Philadelphia. The team that he's alongside, again, they've already won an open this year, and they're looking to win another one. Harlan Fear and Zach Allen. A very good squad, and at 10-1-1, currently sitting in first place here in Philadelphia.
And if the modern match is going on for a long time here, game number 1, probably a good sign for Harlan Fear.
Yeah, you would think so. Short games are bad news when you're playing against Amy the Titan, but Demir Werza takes a little while for that deck to close it out.
Yeah.
Especially in that matchup. So,
Well, I suppose it could be a Field of the Dead game. Not that Amulet Titan is helpless if it goes long.
Yeah. Harlan is someone who knows these Werza decks very well, though. He's been a big fan of Urza ever since it's been printed. Even during the Hogak summer, he was playing Urza-based strategies that sometimes had War of Invention and sometimes did not. So, no surprise to see him doing this, especially after Eli Cassis's run last weekend, going 9-0 against Amulet Titan with his Demir Werza deck, working himself towards another title on the SCG Tour. Both these players will take a look at their openers here in just a moment. Looks like Jessup is unhappy with his, so he'll send it back right away. The Saltide Delirium list that he's playing, of course, you can take a look at Cardboard Live. We'll have those deck lists up later today after the Swiss rounds are over. For those of you data fans out there, we type them up in the morning. We publish them once we decide on our top 4 or top 8, depending on the tournament. Once those Swiss rounds are over, don't want to give anyone an unfair advantage out there. And there you go.
It's one of the joys of the SCG Tour. Getting down here bright and early, Sunday morning, punching up deck lists. Just reading, the interesting tidbits.
Yeah.
If you play 61 cards and you make day number 2, really good bet that you give the coverage team a chuckle in the morning. We appreciate it.
Well, it looks like Jessup has found a hand that's going to work a little bit better. One card's going to be headed to the bottom, it appears. Perhaps 2. Either way, some cards are going away here for both players. Banned Spirit's an interesting deck, and so far it's pretty straightforward stuff. Some creatures, a little bit of disruption. That's it.
Well, I think there's a lot of decks. Saltide Delirium, I think, is a good example of this. You assume that one of the ways that you're going to be able to gain control against creature strategies or more aggressive strategies broadly is chump blocking. You muck up the battlefield and your opponent can't really proceed. And then you can win the game with your more powerful cards. And Banned Spirits really complicates that because your early defense, as we saw in game number 1, doesn't mean anything. Jessup played some stuff on the ground, and got killed on the 4th or 5th turn.
Mausoleum Wanderer is where things do start here for Feingersh. For Jessup, it looks like it's going to be a Traverse. It's his first spell of the game. And it'll be a Swamp that he's going to dig out of the deck. Overgrown Tomb helping to facilitate this Traverse the Uvenwald.
An Ice Age Swamp that is not confusingly covered in snow in the art.
Breeding Pool will enter the battlefield tapped. We're going to head back over to Feingersh. Spectral Sailor in. Going to get that second point of damage in thanks to the text on Mausoleum Wanderer. And now it'll be a Temple Guard that enters the battlefield tapped. So we'll head back over to Jessup. Fatal push the draw here. There is an island, so that Swamp still in the hand.
Interesting here from Jessup because it is theoretically a spew of information that land number 4 is already accounted for. Probably doesn't matter that much if you're playing Uro. You can just play the Swamp tapped, but
yeah, not that bad. You get to play the land does enter that
untapped. So setting up for a potential draw, or actually already has Fatal Push rolled up. So excuse me. Still a lot of signal given away there, but that's the possibility here.
I like pushing right away here, not getting too cute with it to take care of the Mausoleum Wanderer. Spectral Sailor, only creature left on the battlefield now here for Feingersh, who will play a Glacial Fortress. Enters the battlefield untapped for multiple reasons. The Eagle, pre-combat, the attack, 4-2 with the Sailor. And we're headed back over to Jessup, whose hand right now is not particularly good, though perhaps Jace Vryn's Prodigy, the draw step for the turn, can find some things to do.
Yeah, you just look up and down this deck list. I mean, Corsair Crewfix, Tireless Tracker, Uro, Scavenging Ooze, Satyr Wayfinder. That's kind of like a who's who of cards where you assume you're going to be able to block against aggressive strategies. And that is completely off the table in this matchup. And you can tell Jessup is really floundering to stabilize these games at all.
And Jessup with another copy of Uro. Put a Fabled Passage on the battlefield, sack that passage, get a basic island, enters the battlefield untapped thanks to the number of lands that are on the battlefield, and now deploy that Jace Vryn's Prodigy. So 2 copies of Uro in the graveyard. And now here's a main phase Collected Company. Not going to get too cute with the instant. Don't always have to play instants at instant speed. Can be played on your own turn as a sorcery. And that's exactly what we're going to see here. So, Deputy Attention among the cards.
Ooh, that is a big hit here.
And it looks like it's going to be the Eagle and the Deputy off of the Company. Deputy will take care of the Jace. Eagle will grow the team. And here come the beatdowns. 6 in the air. Feingersh very far ahead in this game. Jessup's going to need some sort of sweeper-style effect to get himself out of this.
I mean, even the Witch's Vengeance here is not...
That's not going to do it anymore.
Right. It's
Vivian Reed is an interesting little card that's in hand right now because it can shoot something down. It's not at its best right now, but you know you got to do something here. So Vivian Reed's going to come down. It's going to shoot down an Eagle. Vivian Reed will get killed via an attack, unless for some reason Feingersh wants to ignore the Planeswalker. That's an expensive way to take care of a 3-mana flyer.
I mean, it is one of the better cards Jessup can have in the spot, and it is not that good.
Here is Supreme Phantom. Beatdowns there. And then these will come in to you. So, it'll be 4 damage to Jessup, and then 2, of course. Actually, let's make it 3 to the Vivian. So we'll go over to Jessup, who's empty-handed. Big draw step here. Well, there is Uro. Escape away the rest of the graveyard. Opportunity to draw a card. Gain 3 life, and play a Water Grave tapped. Breeding Pool tapped as well. And Jessup, all he can do is pass the turn back. Spectral Sailor, Empyrean Eagle, Supreme Phantom coming into the red zone. Deputy Attention obviously going to hang back on defense.
So I'm counting 9 on that attack.
Nebelgast Herald is going to tap that down. Yeah, this is quite the beatdown here from Feingersh.
Not even close to close.
No, not close really at any point. So Benjamin Feingersh is going to win this match here over Daniel Jessup, 2-0. Bad Spirits cleans up Salted Delirium very quickly and easily. I think a very good matchup for Bad Spirits in general. And the team on the right, and Bedell, Feingersh, and Chen up very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, not much you can really say about that. Feingersh with a very smooth curve. Jessup floundering around, trying to build up to a late game that he could never get to. Playing some creatures, hoping to be able to block that could never block. And, one fatal push, one abrupt decay, that's just not going to be enough to slow down a curve that is that reliable and powerful.
Well, we're going to go up to our modern match now. Rowdy Bedell, Harlan Fears, where we're headed now. Bedell is currently up a game, so that game took a long time, but oddly enough, it looks like our Amulet Titan player was the one able to get it done. So perhaps, as you mentioned, Field of the Dead and or Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, worked themselves into the equation there.
There's some vulnerability there with the Wurza decks. They are not great at handling opposing lands, and so even if the game drags out, they're vulnerable sometimes to Valakut, although they do have a fair bit of removal for the Dryad, but Field of the Dead is very, very strong against them.
Well, these players are going to be getting ready for this match. We unveiled this information both on Friday in the news section of the StarCityGames.com website and also a little bit earlier on in this weekend's broadcast. But SCG Regionals, we've finally got our details in a row here to go over what's going to be happening Saturday, March 7th. Regionals will be modern. You can go to go.starcitygames.com/regionals for more information, where we've got 13 locations. Patrick, I'll let you do a quick rundown here of these.
Well, all over the United States, including Knoxville, Tennessee, Dallas, Texas, Orlando, Florida, Albany, New York, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Atlanta, Georgia, Kansas City, Missouri, San Diego, California, Saginaw, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, Durham, North Carolina, Boston, Massachusetts, and back here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So again, you can head over to go.starcitygames.com/regionals and find the regional championship closest to you.
Got plenty of prizes on the line here as well, folks. Winner of their regional will win $1,200, 20 SCG points, and an invite to our Season 1 Invitational at SCGCon Summer at the Berglund Center in Roanoke, Virginia. Finalists will get $600, 15 SCG points, and that same invitation. And we'll actually be giving invites to all top 8 competitors at all of our 13 regional championships. Cash and prizes will be going down to the top 32 and, of course, participation SCG points as well. And then, of course, we've got our exclusive playmat and token. It is Attack of the Titan. So we take a look at that. You see this fantastic playmat and token, though I guess it's appropriate to note that they are not shown to scale. I think that's
that's important.
That's good to know, as there is the Attack of the Titan, Attack of the Hydra, giving some beatdowns here on some Theros-themed buildings. There's the playmat and, of course, the token as well. Free and exclusive to the first 200 players that do register. We'll get this limited edition playmat and set of tokens. So shout out to everybody who's going to Star City Games Regional Championships here during Season 1 of the 2020 SCG Tour, Saturday, March 7th for Modern. Go to starcitygames.com/regionals for more information. Harlan, Rodney, game number 2, about to be underway. These players look like they are finishing up taking a look at their opening hands. And then we'll get to watch some magic here. You can see Zach Allen, Alexander Chen. And they'll be long into an Azorius control matchup here in just a moment. As here we are. Game number 2 underway between Fear and Bedell.
Also, no threat of that match finishing off camera, or that matchup causing the match to finishing off camera right now, since Feingersh won in the middle seat and Allen is up game over there.
Here is a Once Upon a Time for free. There's secure a Tribe Scout. And now here is a snow-covered forest. And there is the Tribe Scout. So here is a watery grave on the end step via a misty rainforest.
So Harlan's sort of suggesting here that he has a big plan for that Mistress Bauble, because normally if you have a fetch land, you check out the top of your deck and you decide whether or not you want to shuffle. So he wants to keep this around. It involves some critical massive artifact payout, most likely.
Looks like Harlan's having a chit-chat with his teammates, both Jessup and Allen. Maybe give an assist in Zach Allen's matchup. Now Harlan will draw for his turn, pick up a copy of Thoughtseize. As you can see, he has a copy of Whir of Invention and Sword of the Meek in hand.
Well, that would explain wanting to sit tight with the the Bauble for the time being. If you're already rolled up, you want to keep that thing around to help with Whir of Invention.
Also has a copy of Urza, Lord High Artificer. So Harlan's got some thinking to do. The scary thing here is that it is possible to have a turn 2 Titan, depending on exactly what Rodney's hand does look like off of a start like this. So does Harlan want to fire off the Thoughtseize now, or perhaps wait for maybe the following turn? It looks like he wants to wait, as he will deploy a Sword of the Meek and hope that things don't go too wrong on this, the second turn for Rodney.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge call that you had to make there. The Thoughtseize prevents disaster, and the top end of Bedell's hands just win the game outright right here. But it is so mana inefficient to spend your turn Thoughtseizing, especially when here is trying to kind of set up shop here where tap out every single turn, develop your base of artifacts, such that you set up a threatening Whir of Invention as soon as possible. So even early on in the game, his mana is really at a premium. He doesn't want to play inefficiently, and so if he can avoid Catastrophe this turn, he's in much better shape for having played the Sword. And it looks like he's going to get out of this turn just fine.
Yeah, just a once upon a time on the main phase, revealing a Gruul Turf. Gruul Turf can be placed onto the battlefield via that Sakura Tribe Scout that is active now, but not a scary turn at all if you are Harlan Fear. You have the ability now to just play a Misty Rainforest and pass the turn back and respond in kind. So here is that Sakura Tribe Scout activation. See if Harlan wants to make a move or not. And it looks like he does. So he'll sacrifice the Misty Rainforest, and he's going to whir. But what will he whir for? Now, it could be as simple as Thopter Foundry, and
right.
It is. Okay.
Harlan already has Urza in hand, so he is set up for next turn.
I guess the only question now is, does he have the 4th mana source to deploy Urza?
Yeah, he's rolled up. I think this play is way too risky if you don't have mana number 4.
Sure.
You have to be cinched up to justify not casting a Thoughtseize for 2 turns.
Yep, and you see the Scalding Tarn alongside the Thoughtseize and the Urza. So what that means is that next turn he's got infinite life and infinite tokens. And there's nothing that Amulet Titan can do about that. Assuming that Fear is able to make it happen. So Bedell working on his 3rd turn of the game. Access to 3 mana, at least for right now. Wouldn't be surprising for him to have more than that.
You see here, Fear paid off. It was on the first turn of the game, paid off down the line for not doing anything with that Mistress Bauble. Needed every little bit of it to be able to deploy Thopter Foundry this turn and threaten Infinite the following turn.
10 a.m. Field of players. Your pairings for round 4 are making their way to the blue gathering point. 10 a.m. Field players.
But this start from Fear still might not be good enough. I mean, it folds to a lot.
Okay, well, this is what I would consider to be a really nice turn a lot of the time.
It's just not going to be good enough.
But it's just not going to be close to good enough, like you just mentioned. You know, being able to play a land, play Summoner's Pact, play Castle Garenbrig, play a Titan, search for things with a Titan, not able to give the Titan haste because there's no Amulet of Vigor on the battlefield. But in a lot of matchups, this is a really good turn.
Yeah, but just, Fear's line of play here signals a ton of strength. You know, the curve that he did of deploying a sword on the second turn and then dialing up Thopter Foundry the next turn in this matchup really only can be justified if you have the whole combo ready to go the following turn.
Yeah, I mean, just putting your shields down like Harlan has this game and not even firing off a discard spell. I mean, really not interacting at all this entire game.
I mean, his curve was turn 1, do nothing, turn 2, do nothing, turn 3, do nothing.
Well, how dare you talk about Sword of the Meek like that?
I mean, it's going to be something soon. It's just not anything now.
Simic Growth Chamber and Breeding Pool. So this is signaling Pact-in Engage.
I was going to say that this is, if you're Harlan, you don't like seeing those lands because those are the lands of someone who has a passive negation.
Yeah, and Harlan is immediately going to go for Urza anyway, and I would be surprised if this resolved.
Well, the die is cast. I mean, Harlan has taken the line that he's taken. He can't back off now in Thoughtseize. He's dead to the table.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I wouldn't say that he's... If Triangle Titan gets to attack the shrine, I don't think he's dead.
I mean, there's a shot. There's a pretty good chance that he's going to break up some part of your shop. Maybe he doesn't kill you, but are you really anticipating going to your next turn with all of your tools ready to go if you just cast Thoughtseize?
I wouldn't even... So if my assumption is that my opponent has Pact Negation in their hand this turn, then what I would have done is just play Talisman of Dominance and pass the turn back. My opponent gets their shot in with Primeval Titan. I Thoughtseize them, and then I play Urza, and then I do my thing. Because I have 5 mana now.
Sure.
If you just don't think your opponent has Pact Negation, you just want to go for it, that's fine, because I do not believe that Rodney is going to kill Harlan the next turn. I don't think there's any lands that he can get that are also scary in the face of that situation, because the best he can do is Teleria West for Pact Negation, which you can blow up. Now, if you have a fear of Engineer Explosives, that's a different conversation.
Or he can set up, like, pick up a Teleria West and go get a Reclamation Sage through Summoner's Pact. And then you still don't, you're not rolled up again.
That's also a fear. Yeah, that's also a fear. But Harlan decided to just go for it. It obviously worked out, which means that maybe getting those blue lands was purely a bluff from Rodney's side, which was, I think, also, if you have nothing, that's also totally fine.
Right. I mean, Harlan's line has suggested such strength leading up to that point that the only thing you can really do, if you can't interact, the only thing you can do is at least put up some appearances and make him deviate, which is what happened. But I think Harlan's position was, one, I've already kind of gone down this road, and two, there's no guarantee that if I Thoughtseize, I get to next turn alive and with all of my pieces still ready to go. So my best spot is to take a stab at it right now. He went for it. Bedell did not have a Pact Negation, and we're going on to game 3.
That and we are indeed doing. So Rodney Bedell will be on the play here for game number 3. Harlan Fear wins game number 2. And for the team captain of Team Nova, we learn a little bit more about him, the 25-year-old from Charlottesville, Virginia. 18 opens played last year with 8 top 8s and 1 win. That's a heck of a 2019. We saw him play in the Players' Championship. He's got 15 open top 8s all time with 4 open wins. He's almost near that fantastic number 5 mark that a couple players have on the SCG Tour, like Ross Merriam, as far as wins are concerned. Perhaps that 5th one comes this weekend.
We talked a lot about Dilks' 2019, but Harlan's was comparable. I mean, 18-8 with a win that's an incredible conversion rate. A win for some bold ink there, the cherry on top, and all-time one of the top performers in recent years on the SCG Tour.
Continues to, in a weird way, fly under the radar. Again, not the biggest personality, not as, I guess I somewhat want to call Dilks demonstrative in some ways, but he's just kind of his own character.
Yo, do you want to hear about Dilks' Sunday?
I'd love to hear about Dilks' Sunday.
Register for a Classic?
Yeah.
1-1 drop, drove home alone.
Love it. Love it. Back to Canada we go.
He is so cool.
Not even out of top 8 contention with the
gone.
loss.
Just gone.
Okay. Sometimes you're off it.
Yeah.
Know that feeling? A lot of respect there.
So much. An old soul.
His first poor weekend on the SCG Tour, he decided to just pack it in, go back home. We'll see you in Indy, Dilks. Or at least I hope so. At least I hope so. I am curious to see what Dilks' weapon of choice will be in Pioneer when we get there. Obviously, he's a modern master with Amulet Titan, but what, is a Lotus Field deck? I mean, it seems like it would be his style of deck.
Sure.
For sure. But, there are some combo elements there that might be a little bit wonky. That takes him some time to wrap his head around. But that'll be fun to see what he wants to play in that format 2 weeks from now if he does join us in Indianapolis, which I expect he will.
Squads are huddled up.
Yep.
My favorite thing, we talked about this earlier today, 2 2-0s on both sides of the table, just a quick rinse. And then game number 3, 4-match, potentially for top 4. And everyone's huddled up here. Harlan going down to 6 cards.
Yeah, Zach Allen has made his way over as he won his match 2-0 over Alexander Chen very quickly in the Azorius Control Mirror, which I'll be honest, if I had to pick a favorite in that match, it's hard for me to lean against Zach when it comes to playing these blue-based control strategies. It's what he loves to do.
Loves it.
Yep.
Loves it.
There was a game I was actually watching Zach play yesterday. He was playing its mono red, and he made a few minor mistakes, and boy was he frustrated with himself. Like really, really mad with himself about some of the minor mistakes that he was making. As here's a once upon a time from Rodney to kick off game number 3.
Yeah.
Forgot to attack with a couple little soldier tokens from the Castle Ardenvale before playing a Shatter the Sky, which would have knocked his opponent's Teferi from 3 to 2, and was just furious. So he wants to be one of those great control players out there.
Yeah, speaking of, I similarly was in the pit watching Zach Allen, who forgot to tick up his Teferi in a spot that was completely irrelevant.
Sure.
And he was so mad.
Yeah. He wants to be great with these kind of strategies, and he's already quite good with them, that's for sure. Already has, again, an open win this year in Columbus.
Yo, what's going on with that deck?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that is.
You want me? Yo, someone talk to. There we go.
Probably clean that up a little bit. There we go. That's good. Here's a Thoughtseize. Selesnya Sanctuary. We're just doing things at random. There we go. Selesnya Sanctuary, Engineered Explosives, Teleria West, Castle Garenbrig, Dryad of the Elysian Grove, and a Dismember. Not the most explosive of hands.
Yeah, that lands on the battlefield.
It's a little bit more cleaned up now. Wasn't the prettiest thing that first turn. A little better now, though.
This hand is putrid. I guess you have Once Upon a Time, right? And it's got some lands and stuff. This does not seem very good to me.
Yeah, once upon a time I kept a bad hand. Is what that was. It's normally its job is to tie it all together, but there is no guarantee.
What did Once Upon a Time hit? Selesnya Sanctuary?
I think so.
That's like a good hit for this hand too.
It's fine. Dryad of the Elysian Grove has been selected by Thoughtseize. That's got to go. All right, we're heading back over to Bedell now. Slicing the Sanctuary might be the land for the turn. It is. Kidding.
I bet that we're having one of these matches right now where there's just a whole chatter going on with that team.
Yeah. It looks like Alexander has nothing to say. We'll see. We are thinking about playing 3 different lands this turn, so I'm curious to see what the plan is here for Rodney. A lot of pressure on right now, I will say that. Sitting at 10-2. I imagine X and 3 is probably going to be good enough for top 8, but winning this match will be one gigantic step closer. I mean, realistically, you win this match, you lose, you're probably still in, and you could draw next round too. So this is very much a win and in.
Yeah, a lot on the line here.
There's Castle Garenbrig going to enter the battlefield untapped. Now there is an Engineer Explosives on 2. Getting that in now to be able to blow up Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek, and what other 2-mana permanents join. Won't be able to kill that Arkham's Astrolabe, though. That'll come down. And now here is an Inquisition of Kozilek. So we'll get a look. There goes the Dismember. Gemstone Mine was the draw for the turn, along with Teleria West and Selesnya Sanctuary. It's a handful of lands for a deck that plays a lot of them as we head back over to Rodney Bedell. The land for the turn is that Gemstone Mine. Yeah. Use a mining counter to transmute Teleria West. We'll see what TOS wants to find. Summoner's Pact, Pact Negation, certainly options. Could be a land as well. It will be Summoner's Pact. We know the versatility of that green tutor. So we head back over to Harlan Fear. Harlan picked up a copy of Thoughtseize for the turn. Also has a copy of Archmage's Charm, Ether Gust in hand. Now remember, again, Ely Cassis, part of the winning team alongside Peter Ingram. Won last weekend. Summoner's Pact taken via Thoughtseize.
So Harlan without land number 3 cannot do anything with the Archmage's Charm just yet.
Corey Baumeister there third as well, but I mentioned Ely because he's the one that put together this deck in Demir Wurza. As there's another Arkham's Astrolabe. Thopter found her the draw, not so good.
And it's time to start a trucking on in.
With what exactly? The
Sakura's
Tribe?
Strides.
Oh, you want to give him a little ding-dong?
A little how you do.
Okay, well, Hydro Summoner's back.
All right, fine.
How do you do?
Whatever. Less cool than attacking, I suppose. It's fine.
Prime time. Mining counter. 3 of them on that gemstone mine. That's a good way to remember Pact.
Good use of I like good use of a teammate there. That is useful.
And here we go. Now it's prime time. Cavern of Souls, I'm sure naming Giant. And now it is prime time. So, it's time to search it up. Now, what do we want to search for?
So did that Tribe Scout get in for a point or not?
No, put a land on the
battlefield. Okay. I was going to say 13 to 12 is a precious point right now.
It's not nothing.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
That's evenly divisible by 6, conveniently the amount of damage that Primeval Titan or 2 Valakut triggers deals.
Now, I like probably going towards Field of the Dead here. You got 5 different land types on the battlefield. You can get Field of the Dead another land if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the lines are Teleria West and Bounce Land, pick up and try to set up something for next turn, or the let's call it the sampler platter of Field of the Dead Valakut.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there, and it is quite the sampler. One could argue the poo-poo platter.
Shout out to Josh Cho. Hope you're watching. Watched him play last week in Richmond, game of Canadian Highlander, Primeval Titan, for Field of the Dead Tabernacle, Pendrell.
That's a tough watch.
First time in Magic history someone's gotten those 2 lands together off of Primeval Titan.
Almost assuredly. Almost assuredly.
A little bit of both, you know? You want a little bit of both.
Now, this is a surprising selection here, and snow-covered forest and forest feels like there's a higher ceiling play there to me.
Is there some sort of hedge about the possibility of getting Blood Moon?
There's a fear of Blood Moon. There is.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I guess that seems super conservative here.
If I'm Harlan, I'm pretty happy with that. And the main reason is because Harlan has a copy of Ether Gust in hand. So what he'll be able to do is once the pack is paid for, Rodney will have the opportunity to draw his card, and then inside the draw step you can gust it. You can gust it on upkeep if you'd like as well. I think you're probably better holding off.
I think you want to hold off. Well, if you gust on upkeep, I guess.
They can't redeploy.
Right, yeah, you get a turn.
Yeah.
9:30, 2-headed giant players. Your pairings for your 4th and final round are being posted at the blue.
Yeah, the risk of letting him take a draw here is that he could spike something that plays back.
Draw Blue Pact,
right.
For example. There are some cards that could be drawn here that are a little bit scary. And there's a gust.
Do it to him. Do it to him.
What is this? Once Upon a Time in Response. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Simic Growth Chamber. So, Growth Chamber's in the hand. Titan. There's no better draw step than that one.
Right.
That's the entire deck is built around. So,
tune up the band.
This is Sakura Tribe Scout attack that you still want to make. You're very fixated on that, I see. Wow. No attack.
He's at 13.
I get it.
Get him to 12.
I get it. Here's a very quick island there from Harlan. That is an Ashiok. Gonna mill the top handful of cards, and now Harlan Fear is turning this game around very quickly. The graveyard is exiled now too, folks. Not that that matters a ton in this matchup. But Ashiok Dream Render, a huge play there. And this is why I was a little bit surprised to see that Primeval Titan earlier just go and get those basic
Yeah,
lands.
I mean, that just is, it's so conservative.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be. I'm trying to think of anything it could be besides Blood
Besides
Moon.
Blood Moon, yeah. One could argue Field of Ruin, but I thought there were enough green sources out there with breeding pool and everything else. I think that's not really much of a consideration. And I think the team of Bedell, Feingersh, and Chen may have just gotten a little bit hung up on Blood Moon and not getting some truly powerful lands in that situation. Looks like the follow-up here, some mana is being tapped. Is a Beast Within. Okay, not a bad top deck to take care of Ashiok. Seen worse. We'll get a Beast token out there for Harlan Fear. He'll have a 3/3 on his side of the battlefield now as Todd Anderson joins the fray. And now Harlan's going to bring himself down to 12 on his own via a Misty Rainforest fetch. However, what he's fetching is not just any normal land, my friend.
Oh, yeah. It's, quite a lot attached to an island. Yes.
Ether Gust is going to go back. Now Harlan will draw that for the turn. Now Harlan can continue to set up shop. He's going to come in here for 3 points of damage. Padesh is going to fall down to 14. Now, Harlan will have some difficulty setting up the Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meat combo here because of the explosives that's on the battlefield. As here's a copy of Once Upon a Time.
Might be worth, well, interested to see no fight over that. Because the Archmage's Charm can counter Once Upon a Time, but cannot counter a creature that comes off of it because of Cavern of Souls.
Well, of course, Cavern of Souls can name a thing and then you can deploy it. Gust can give you some protection there, though, for a turn. Teleria West is going to get transmuted. And I'm curious to see what the search is going to be. It's going to be Summoner's Pact. Here comes Cavern of Souls. Again, that's almost certainly naming Giant in this situation. This is also one of those spots where, do you prefer to Teleria West for Summoner's Pact, or do you prefer to Teleria West for Field of the Dead?
Probably Field.
Summoner's Pact was the weapon of choice. Tried to resolve it. Archmage's Charm took care of it. And now Fatal pushed the draw step. And Harlan might be thinking, you know what? Me and this Todd Anderson Beast token, we're going to have to get it done.
Well, it's hard for him to go to the combo, and he doesn't have Urza right now. So what else are you going to do?
He'll just pass the turn for now. After those 3 points of damage, it's 11 all as we head back over to Rodney and Bedell. Rodney's, there you go. You finally got it.
Finally.
There's that one from the Sakura Tribe Scout. Big follow-up here. Simic Growth Chamber. Going to pick up the Cavern of Souls and pass the turn back. War of Invention's going to go digging. Thopter Foundry, the weapon of choice here.
I think Harlan with another copy of Thopter in hand. Thopter Foundry in hand, so if this induces the Engineer explosives, he's got the backup copy ready to go. And if not, he can just damage race again. Bedell's at 11 here now, falling to 7 from this attack.
Yep, and Harlan, this is one of the things I think he does exceptionally well. Is he's going to play an Arkham's Astrolabe. He'll play a Scalding Tarn, which is what he drew. And he does a nice job of not getting too fixated on just one thing. Now he's just going to go, you know what? I'm just going to try to get this game over with by attacking. So get you for 4, bring you down to 7, which is what Rodney's at right now. And then try to win the game the next turn. There is Valakut, a little late to the party. Looks pretty bad on this battlefield.
And now it's just on board here, right?
Well, the Tribe Scout can block, but there is a Fatal Push in hand, so this looks like an onboard kill to me.
Yeah, from Bedell's perspective, he gets another turn, but we know Harlan's got it cinched up here.
And there's a Mystic Sanctuary once again. That's going to dig up a little something here from the graveyard.
Oh, yeah. Take that Tribe Scout. Don't just kill it.
Oh, you
take it.
You want to own it.
Take it.
Okay.
That's mine now.
Harlan's going to sacrifice his 2 Arkham's Astrolabes and his Thopter Foundry, push you around Matchbox 20 style, and that is going to do it. Harlan Fear, Danny Jessup, and Zach Allen are going to win this match over Rodney Bedell, Benjamin Feingersh, and Alexander Chen. So for Fear, Jessup